All right, welcome back. It's your boy Blackbeard Mirage. Hope all the ladies and gentlemen out there have been remaining healthy and making good decisions. All right, it's time to go into another classic on this SaturnDay Sabbath. All right, so this is going to be part 3 of the predator psychology for the Amaru Conqueror out there. All right, so I wanted to make a tape to give you brothers some more mental armor, make you aware and conscious of some stuff that's going on out here and some of the history of it. All right, we're going to tie that all together as we usually do. And if you are a woman listening to this tape, this is very, very important for you because I just want you to understand that some of you who may think it's cool to be a single mother and to be isolated, from the masculine principle, how that could be a very, very deadly and dangerous thing. All right, and it makes you very, very vulnerable. So for all the indigenous American women out there who may be quote unquote single mothers, and I really hate using that term, but that's what the word they're using today. So this is very important for you to listen up because there are certain underground demonic networks and groups and certain societies, that are preying upon children out here, and they love when there's no father figure around, so they basically are seeking women like you, women who are too busy, women who are too caught up in basically just the ego or caught up in some commercial capitalism or any other distraction that they got out here. They're looking for women like you who are caught up in that. And while you are, engaging in those other foolish activities, your children are left alone. Your children are left with no kind of direction or guidance. Your children are left with no protection. And then your children are able to be preyed upon by these pedovores out here. All right. So we're going to talk about that. And you women should listen up to understand that this is very, very serious. I hear what we're dealing with. And if you do have men in your life, whether that be your children's father, whether that be your own father, your uncles, your grandfather, older cousins, whoever it may be, after listening to this tape, by the end of it, you will have a newfound respect for these men that you have a good relationship with. And for all the women listening to this tape, by the end of it, your homework assignment will be to call any real man in your life, whether that be your husband, your boyfriend, your kid's father, your dad, your uncle, whoever it may be, or even a male neighbor, that you're just friends with. But whatever man that's real in your life, you will call him by the end of this tape, and you will thank him for being a sincere man in these, cautious, troubling times. Because this nightmare that you're going to hear in this tape tonight is what's waiting for you if you don't make the right choices. All right. So once again, you brothers out there who are, the stand-up spiritual contracted killers who have decided to incarnate in these physical bodies at these times and to take on these, tasks that are at hand, this tape is to help you out with more information so you will be debriefed just like James Bond would. So whenever James Bond got ready to go out on a mission, he was always debriefed. He was given an update on what was going on so he would know what he was getting himself involved in. So this is what this is for you. And for you women out there, this is for you to understand the seriousness of what's going on and how you really need to be watching after your children. But more importantly, you set your children up better by choosing the right man by having them with. All right. So this is for you as well. So the first thing I need to talk about is, we're going to go into basically the mindset, the religion, the ideology, and the beliefs of a certain group of people on this planet. All right. Now, whether you believe in angels or not, demons or not, it really doesn't matter. But there are certain groups of people on this planet who have basically the financial backing to do a lot of the things that it is they want to do. And they have the money to satisfy whatever urges or desires they have, whether they be, perverted or whether they be healthy. But they have the opportunity to do these things. And because they have the opportunity to do them, they're participating in a lot of stuff. Some of it is good and some of it is bad. But what we're going to talk about right now is some of the people on this planet who have the financial, backing and have the resources and time to invest in demonic practices. And they have certain beliefs that are very, very egotistical, and they are very, very carnal and lower reptilian and lower vibrational in nature. All right. Now, in the Old Testament, all right, the Judean Moorish ancestor wrote about these different false gods and these different pagan worship systems, okay? I talked about a little bit of it previously with Nimrod and how he set himself up to be a false god. But basically, this goes to, a more cosmic origin before even Nimrod, before even the flood, okay? So what we're going to do is talk about the origin of demons, and we're going to talk about the wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, okay? Because when we talk about angels and demons, we're really talking about cherubim and seraphim. And as far as demons, we're talking about rebellious angels or rebellious cherubim and seraphim, okay? That's what we're talking about. So even when we read, in the Quran or the Old Testament, the Torah, the Tanakh, the Septuagint, when you hear about the different archangels, both the good ones and the quote unquote bad ones, they all come from the original groups of cherubim and seraphim. But what we have to understand is that a portion of them were rebellious and a portion of them were adversarial. So when we hear that term Satan in the Bible or any kind of scripture or text we read, I don't want us thinking that Satan is this, singular demonic entity. First of all, Satan is describing a certain type of psychology and behavior inside of somebody, and it is adversarial. So let's say, somebody did something that was against you or some type of opposition. It was a satanic act that they did towards you. It was an adversarial act that they did towards you. Or in other words, they did an act that didn't have your best interest. They did an act that would only benefit them, but it probably would hurt you. So in other words, it was an egotistical act. It was a selfish act. It was a carnal desire act. It was a lower vibrational act. So when we're talking about the satanic cherubim and seraphim, or the rebellious cherubim and seraphim, we're really talking about certain original archangels who are real in nature, okay? And who were originally, I want to use the safe words for this, who originally were appointed for what we call creation, who were originally given the instructions to watch over the earthly creation, okay? Some of these cherubim and seraphim decided to have their own agenda, and it was rebellious and wicked in nature. So any kind of culture, I don't care whether it's from the Far East or the Far West, whenever you read about any type of demons, any type of bad wizards, any type of dragons, monsters, any of this type of stuff, anything that was going against the original order, anything that wanted to stay within the subjective reality of ego and carnal desire, this just represents the archetype of the original rebellious and wicked cherubim and seraphim, okay? So that's what you got to keep in mind. So all these pagan worship systems that are still existing on the planet today, all these wealthy quote unquote elites who they say are doing these satanic rituals and stuff to these false gods that they're calling Baal, that they call him Baphomet, they call it Ashtaroth, they call him Moloch, they give them all these different names. But nevertheless, all that energy and all those wicked behaviors, the ones who are receiving that on the other end of the spiritual universe would be those wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, because they operate in those lower vibrational dimensions. They influence that type of stuff. They reward that type of stuff. They inspire that type of stuff, okay? So understand that the perverted people on this planet, they call the quote unquote ruling elite, this is who these people, this is the type of spiritual energy that they worship. And whether it's real or not, whether we believe it or not, none of that really matters. They believe it and they're putting their power into that, and they are making it real, okay? Now, one in particular that they worship is Moloch, and Moloch deals with pedovore or pederasty or pedophilia, child sacrifice, child sex trafficking, child molestation, child rape, all that type of stuff, aggravated rape. These are all Moloch rituals, okay? We'll read about that a little bit more as we go. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to read in this PDF I have on demons, okay? So it's a PDF I have on demons. And we're going to start with, the origin of the demons, because these same demonic entities that these humans worship, remember now, they come from an original group of seraphim and cherubim who are just rebellious, all right? So let's go into that, because before I start using these terms like Moloch and Baal, I want you to understand what I'm really talking about. I'm really talking about a pagan god that was created by human people, but this pagan god, which is just an artificial device, is really a manifestation vessel that a wicked cherubim and cherubim that is spiritual and real in nature can use to receive energy and can give energy through. All right. So just keep in mind that false idols or these different devices that humanity makes and we worship, and we basically place that above, our connection with the higher power, the real higher power. Those wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, they're able to, work through those devices. You know what I'm saying? So let's read into this, all right? So the origins of demons. Okay, demons and fallen angels are one and the same. This can be seen in 5 ways. A, they have the same relationship to Satan. Satan is called, quote, the prince of demons, Matthew 12:24. Demons are referred to as the devil's angels, Matthew 25:41. Demons are also called Satan's angels, Revelation 12:7-9. They have the same essence of being. Both are spiritual beings. Demons and fallen angels conduct the same activities towards men and God. Revelation 9:1-11, 13-21. So that's very, very important, that demons and fallen angels conduct the same activities towards men and God. All right. Another one. They have the same abode. All biblical texts mention either demons or fallen angels, but never both in the same text because they're one and the same. So keep in mind that a demon, a fallen angel, a wicked cherub or seraphim, this is all the same thing. All right. So now I want to go up and we're going to read about the lead demon or the lead adversary or the lead cherub or seraphim. All right. That was the top, one pretty much that led the rebellious cause. All right. So when you all hear about this story about the fall of Lucifer and all this different stuff, it's kind of what we're talking about. So let's go into this. Ezekiel 28:11-19 describes the fall of Satan or the fall of the adversaries. He convinced some of the angels to follow him in his desire to be like God. Isaiah 14:12-14. There were 3 results of the fall of angels. First, they lost all their holiness. Secondly, they became corrupt in nature and conduct. Third, these angels became demons of Satan. So keep that in mind. Remember, like I said, all these original, these wicked and rebellious archetypes, angels, they once were holy in nature. All right. But through ego and through desire, through pervertedness, they lost their holiness or they lost their light. So when you all hear about these different stories of beings being stripped of their melanin, beings being stripped of their cosmic divine light, that's these entities that we're talking about. All right. So they lost their original light. So look at it like this. The original cherubim and seraphim and the original man and woman, which we are, we will represent the sun in its pure original state. So the sun gives off real light. When you go outside, the sun is giving off real light, real radiation. Okay. There's nothing false. There's nothing fake about it. But the cherubim or seraphim that rebelled, that lost their holiness or lost their melanin or lost their light, they are more like a light bulb. Think about a light bulb. It gives off false light. It doesn't emit real light how the sun does outside. And also when you break a light bulb, it no longer works either. So these false cherubim and seraphim, they can't give off real light or they can't give off real creation. That's why they work through deception, illusory, mirages. They're trickery entities. Okay, they want to deceive you. They work in the occult world of hiding things. Okay, hiding things. All right. So that's what they're all about. So keep that in mind as well. So let's read in Ezekiel. So Ezekiel 28:11-19. Now listen up very, very close because I'm about to read about, the original cherubim or seraphim named Lucifer, who was once very, very beautiful and holy, but through ego and through desire, through jealousy and rage, Lucifer lost its light, all right, and became a wicked cherub. So let's read about it. Because remember now, a lot of you all hear about these people like, oh, y'all keep saying that they worship Satan, they worship Lucifer, but I'm trying to get y'all to really see what this is. All right. So listen up. Quote, again, the word of the Lord came to me saying, quote, Son of man, take up a lamentation over the king of Tyre and say to him, thus says the Lord, you had the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering, the ruby, the topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the lapis lazuli, the turquoise, and the emerald, and the gold and the workmanship of your settings and sockets was in you. On the day that you were created, they were prepared. You were the anointed cherub who covers. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. You were the anointed cherub who covers. I'm going to repeat that one more time because I want you to understand what a cherub and a seraphim is. You were the anointed cherub who covers, and I placed you there. You were the one on the holy mountain of God. You walked in the midst of the stones of fire. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. By the abundance of your trade, you were internally filled with violence, and you sinned. Therefore, I have cast you as profane from the mountain of God, and I have destroyed you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom by reason of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I put you before kings, that they may see you. By the multitude of your iniquities and the unrighteousness of your trade, you profaned your sanctuaries. Therefore I have brought fire from the midst of you. It has consumed you, and I have turned you to ashes on the earth in the eye of all those who see you. All who know you among the peoples are appalled at you. You have become terrified, and you will cease to be forever. Ezekiel 28:11 through 19. So what I just read was pretty much the higher power, or God, the Most High, whatever you want to call it, the original creator, giving you an account of the original cherub or seraphim that we know of as Lucifer, who was originally made in all the beauty and glory and splendor of the original creator. But through ego and carnal desire of wanting to be like the creator, and also as it says, your heart was lifted up because of your beauty, or your heart was lifted up because of your ego. So Lucifer's ego started to, get to the point where, it felt like it was greater than the higher power itself. And it wanted creation to worship it. And it saw that the way that the higher power was worshiped by all creation, it wanted that same type of glory. It wanted that same type of feeling. So it started to create a rage and a hatred and a violence for the higher power. And because of that, it was casted down from the holy mountain, because it says here, you were the anointed cherub who covers, and I placed you there. You were on the holy mountain of God. So the Luciferian original cherubs or seraphim were placed on the holy mountain of God to be the watchers of creation, to not only participate and help create what we call the universe, but also to watch over it, and to be custodians of it, to be stewards of it. So that's why it says you were the holy cherub who were placed on the holy mountain of God. But it says also that you were blameless in your ways until the unrighteousness found you. All right. So then after the sin came, then God said, from the mountain I cast you, and I have destroyed you. So you see that the holy angel, or the original cherub, was once beautiful, but through his ego, it was cast down the fire, cast and thrown down to the ground and put before the kings. So not only was this, Luciferian angel cast down, but it was even sent to the earth and embarrassed in front of the original kings of the earth. All right. So we're talking about something that was even before the ancient times. So I just wanted you to read, Ezekiel to understand that, the Judean ancestors, that wrote the text that we call the Torah or the Tanakh or the Bible, You know, they already knew about these rebellious and wicked cherubim and seraphim. So this ain't something Blackbeard is making up. I'm just getting this from historical texts that were left behind by people who wrote them a very, very long time ago. All right, let's see. There's certain things I'm not going to go into. We're going to go away from that. Let's see. Wait a minute. All right, so I want you to get this too. So we all know the story in Enoch, and if you don't know it, then you have to just go do some homework on your own. But in the book of Enoch, it talks about the wicked, you know, cherubim and seraphim, the ones who were casted out, and how, long story short, they took on humanly form, all right, humanly forms as men, and they procreated with the daughters of man, and how this was seen as a sin in the eyes of the higher power. So let's read into this a little bit. All right. Quote, "And the angels which kept not their first estate or principality, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication, and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire." So we already know that Sodom and Gomorrah and these other cities that were like them in manner were cities where men and women were participating in sins and a lot of other behavior that was inspired by the wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim. Okay? And these wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim ruled as the gods over these wicked, dirty cities. So the gods of dirty Babylon, the gods of dirty Egypt, the gods of dirty Chaldea, the gods of dirty Ur, the gods of dirty Judea, they were all really wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim. All right. So let's read this. So let's go into this. Verse 6 says that they left their own principality, which is frequently used to describe a rank within the angelic realm. So that means that they left the angelic realm. You know, they say that they made an agreement to rebel against the higher power. They came down to earth, took on the forms of men, and procreated with physical women. They left their own habitation by entering into the human sphere and by taking the human form of men and intermarrying with human women. All right. Jude confirms what Peter said. They are permanently confined. All right. So they're permanently confined through the blood of humanity, because in one way or another, and how they did it, you know, we don't have to go into that right now. But these wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, the satanic original Luciferian spirits, the renegade adversarial spirits, the adversarial cherubim and seraphim, when they incarnated into the physical form, this basically, you know, bound them to the physical body pretty much. So really, when it said they were cast down, they were really, a lot of them were cast into the physical body through the genetics and through the bloodlines of humanity that they included themselves into. So they're also trapped down here through the bloods of the people and the families that they still are really ruling through. All right, as weird as that may sound. Verse 7 deals with the nature of their sin. The key phrase is, "in like manner as Sodom and Gomorrah, they went after strange flesh." Strange flesh means sexual union that is unnatural or contrary to nature. Now keep that in mind, because that's very important when we talk about these Moloch rituals, the pedovore rituals, you know, the pedophilia, and how a grown person sexually making sexual contact with a baby, that's a strange relationship or a strange sexual act or a strange union, okay? Or that's strange flesh to the grown person. Because a grown man is supposed to be having sex with a grown woman, not a baby. So that's strange flesh. So keep that in mind. Strange flesh means sexual union that is unnatural or contrary to nature. As I said, grown people are not supposed to be having sex with babies and children. All right. In the case of Sodom and Gomorrah, the strange flesh was homosexuality. In the case of Genesis 6, the strange flesh was female flesh. because these wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim were of a different, what's the word? They were made of something different. Okay. They weren't physically human like we were, but they took on the human form and procreated with those women. But nevertheless, they were not human. So they introduced something foreign into humanity by doing that. All right. So moving on, it says, they invaded a new state of residence of alien flesh to commit gross sexual immorality. So this is what happened. They invaded a new state of residence of alien flesh to commit gross sexual immorality. Because these cherubim and seraphim, they're not humans like we are. I mean, I don't know exactly what they are, but they're not physical humans like me and you. But they took on a human form, or the image or the mirage of a human form. And through that state, they procreated with human women. All right. And introduced something alien into humanity. So this is the origin of what we call in demons, and what these ruling elite, the Babylonian priesthood, a lot of terms you hear me using. But basically, these people who have money that's doing a lot of satanic, demonic stuff behind closed doors, that are involved in government, they involved in the banking world, and all the other industries that we know about, the $1 billion, $1 million, $1 trillion industries. The small groups, those 50 families that's ruling this entire globe, this entire world, the earth, the flat earth, whatever you want to call it. That small group of people who are ruling this shit, they look at it as they are the gods of humanity. They have the same mindset as those rebellious cherubim and seraphim. And they get their spiritual energy and inspiration not from the higher power of creation that I support, but they get their power from a lesser spiritual principality, which are these wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim. And what they have to do is do a lot of perverted, things to humanity. All right. And a lot of perverted behavior. And by engaging in these satanic adversarial acts, they are quote unquote blessed by these wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim. And this is just what it is. This is just what it is. So, that's what it is. So when it says the strange flesh, by these elitists engaging in pedophilia, by these elitists engaging in these Moloch rituals, by these elitists raping babies, this gets the attention. This is on the same frequency. This is on the same level. This is on the same vibration that those wicked and rebellious satanic cherubim and seraphim operate on. So look at it like this. Every time these elitists have a, satanic ritual, and they're in there literally raping and killing a baby, this is almost like literally calling those same demonic cherubim and seraphim on a cell phone and getting their attention. It's almost like how you put a signal in the sky for Batman to show up. When you engage in certain demonic acts, such as pedophilia, for example, this is getting the attention of those entities. You see what I'm saying? Just like when you do certain things out of a pure heart, you getting a certain attention from certain entities doing that. So keep in mind, when you're doing certain shit that you ain't got no business doing, you're getting the attention of certain spiritual forces that fuck with that type of shit. So there are a lot of, demonic, satanic, adversarial entities that get energy. They get a high, they get a rush from humans engaging in pedophilia, from humans engaging in rape, from humans engaging in molestation, from humans engaging in sexual trafficking. They get energy from that. And in return, they help those humans out with whatever it is the fuck they got going on, So the next thing I want to read is we're going to go into the Moloch rituals. We're going to go into the rebellious Judeans. We're going to go into the child sacrifice. And before I go into this, as I said, I hope you women out there are listening deep to what I'm saying, because it's about to get a lot realer. All right. Before I get into this reading, there are two movies I saw, in the past, when I was much younger. And they had these two scenes were very, very powerful to me. And I want to, quote these scenes to you women, because I want you to see them in your mind. And I want you to understand what some of the Moorish Judean women had to go through in order to save their children, or what they deemed to be saving their children, from the horrors that were awaiting a lot of our people. There's a scene in the movie Amistad that came out, even though a lot of it is fabricated. But there's a very powerful scene where they were on the boat and there was a lot of wickedness going on. People were getting beat up, people were having their teeth busted, people were being raped, killed, all types of things, thrown off the boats, etc. And there's a part where Joseph K was looking at his wife, who I think had just had her baby or something along that nature. And they had a deep eye contact, you know, it wasn't no words really. And along the line, she communicated to him non-verbally that spiritually that she's not going to allow the kid to go through that. So he knew at that moment what she was going to do. And basically, you know, and she wasn't the only one that did it. A lot of the Judean women did this. But basically, they would just, you know, get the baby and they would just jump in the waters and commit suicide. So you had a lot of the women getting their babies, and rather those babies die from drowning, or rather those babies being eaten up by sharks, than to actually be made into quote unquote slaves. So that's a very, very powerful thing. And another one is on the movie Beloved. All right. Now, even though that movie had a lot of fuckery in it, it did have some scenes that were powerful to me. And one of them was, you know, the history and the scene where one of the characters, long story short, you know, instead of her children going into quote unquote slavery, she rather have killed them herself. All right. And she did so. So it's a very, very powerful history, man. And a lot of this shit was going on in real life. And during the times of a lot of this Moloch rituals, a lot of the Judean Moorish women, you know, had to protect their children. And a lot of them would rather commit suicide or kill their own children versus having their children, you know, kidnapped in one of these, you know, Moloch raids during the Old Testament, where you had a lot of groups of people who were going out kidnapping children, just like they had in the Southeast, where they talk about the gator baby thing. And they were kidnapping the Moorish babies and using them as gator bait. Well, this was also going on for the Moloch rituals. They was kidnapping children. So the same way how you have here in North America and throughout the world, all these children end up missing. You know, 700,000 children missing here, 64,000 black girls missing here. You know, all these little Caucasian children missing, all these Mexican children missing through the border. You know, where are these children going? Who's kidnapping these children? These children are being used in these Moloch rituals. All right. So this is nothing new. This shit been going on since the Old Testament. And there were always, you know, Judean wars, you know, going against this shit. All right. And if you want to know more about that, you can read in the book of Jeremiah. But let me read into a quote in Jeremiah before we go into our, you know, other shit. So now I'm coming out of Jeremiah 32 and 35. They built high places for Baal in the valley of Ben Hinnom to sacrifice their sons and daughters to Moloch, though I never commanded, nor did it enter my mind that they should do such a detestable thing and so make Judah sin. So this is Jeremiah going into, you know, the people committing sin by sacrificing their sons and daughters to Moloch. So I'm going into the real history of where this is written in historically. So these, you know, people that you seeing doing today, these elitists of today, this isn't nothing new. You know, just like us trying to go against this shit is nothing new. So it says they have built shrines, pagan shrines to Baal in the valley of Ben Hinnom, and there they sacrificed their sons and daughters to Moloch. I have never commanded such a horrible deed. It never even crossed my mind to command such a thing. What an incredible evil, causing Judah to sin so greatly. So even when you read in the Old Testament, those different spirits, those different satanic entities that were showing up and trying to get the Hebraic people, the Moorish people, to always sacrifice their children, you know, all those quote unquote gods that were showing up to say, sacrifice your child to me for, you know, X, Y, and Z and all this other stuff. These were the wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, bending and using false light to come as false light beings. So that's another thing. These Luciferian spirits, they're false light beings. Remember, they don't have the original melanin like we do. They lost that shit. They were stripped of it. So they can't deal with the electromagnetic spectrum like that no more. They really only can rock on the lower level. All right. So they use false light. All right. Keep that in mind. So now this shit finna get real. So now we're gonna go into the next thing, and we're gonna deal with more of this pedophilia network that's going on. All right, and what's going on in these Moloch rituals. Okay, we're gonna deal with these Adrenochrome Moloch rituals, and as I said before, Moloch equals the wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim. All right. So although when you Google and you look up Moloch, you're gonna always see a statue of something. But I don't want you confused by that. That statue is just a vessel or just some type of emblem that's representing something that is non-physical. And the non-physical aspect of it is that wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, that satanic cherubim and seraphim that's getting the energy from the demonic act, such as pedophilia. All right. Now, what I'm about to read is coming from something that I just found on Google just from researching, but we're going to use this to go deeper into, what I'm talking about. It's called exposingpedovore.wordpress.com. exposingpedovore.wordpress.com. That's the website I'm getting this from. And we're going to just read, several things. All right. So let me get my shit right. All right, let's get it. So we about to go into this adrenochrome. All right. So as I said before, if these wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, if they lost their light, they lost their melanin, they were stripped of their holiness, they were stripped of their glory. That means that they don't have a direct access to the abundance of love and light that the Creator gives off. They don't have a direct access to the abundance of energy that the higher power gives off to creation. They were stripped of that. So they have to find indirect ways to parasite and leech and vampire off of other people's energy. All right, this is what they do. And they use children for a lot of this stuff. Okay, once again, this was going on during the Old Testament. This is nothing new. Adrenochrome and child trafficking. Famous Satanist Aleister Crowley taught the scientific fact that the blood of children is an anti-aging device in itself, but is 10 times more efficient when it is adrenalized children's blood. Child trafficking is a massive and rich industry, especially in Hollywood and the alphabet agencies, but it's always been exposed as satanic ritual abuse, where there is ritual sacrifice, rape, and blood drinking. Not only do they drink the children's blood, but they torture and rape them so their blood gets adrenalized, so it will work more efficiently on those wicked demons. All right? Keep in mind, we're going to keep reading. Adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is a chemical compound with a molecular formula C9H9NO3 produced by the oxidation of adrenaline. The derivative carbazochrome is a hemostatic medication. Despite its similarity in chemical name, it is unrelated to chrome or chromium. Okay, let's see. All right. The chemical especially concentrates in the body during times of high fight or flight response conditions, such as during trauma or extreme suffering. Keep that in mind. So this adrenochrome, or this oxidation of adrenaline, all right, is especially concentrated in the body during times of high fight or flight response conditions during extreme trauma or suffering. Keep that in mind. All right. Author Hunter S. Thompson mentioned adrenochrome in his book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 1971. The adrenochrome scene also appears in the novel's film adaptation. Just to pause before I continue, I remember that boy Bobby Hemmett talking about that movie in a tape I listened to a while back. Well, long story short, in the tape, I guess these guys were looking for the perfect drug and to get high, and they came across this drug that really took them to this bestial animal type of state. This is this adrenochrome type of medicine that we dealing with in this shit. So there's some real shit we dealing with. All right. Adrenochrome is generally known to be harvested from the pineal glands of penguins in such places as Antarctica. However, this obviously does not meet the global Luciferian elite's needs for getting intoxicated and drunk on their conquest. Therefore, tying into pedogate, the Luciferian elite instead kidnap children, rape, and torture them in order to concentrate the adrenaline, epi, epi, epi the in other words, the adrenaline in their glands. I ain't trying to screw this word up. Epinephrine. Epinephrine. All right, adrenaline and epinephrine. It's probably just another type of hormone in the glands. So let's reread this part because I kind of fucked the sentence up. Therefore, tying into pedogate, the Luciferian elite instead kidnap children, rape, and torture them in order to concentrate the adrenaline in their glands, then harvest the adrenochrome from the glands while the subject is living. While the subject is living, they sacrifice the child after the drug is extracted. Alternately, the subject may be kept alive for repeated extractions. They keep the children captive as a prisoner, hidden somewhere for a long-term traumatization treatment, where they maintain the child alive, but they torture, traumatize, rape, and extract the blood of the child with blood transfusions multiple times until the child finally dies from the abuse and the blood loss, or they decide to kill the child in one of their many satanic child sacrifice rituals. So this is what these people are doing. When y'all are seeing all these, articles of these children missing and all this different stuff, they're kidnapping these children. They putting these children in isolated underground cages or wherever it is that they got them. They are doing a lot of things to bring the adrenaline and get the heart pumping real high and to create fear in the children. So that means that they're starving the children out. They're dehydrating them. They're wearing masks and stuff like that around the children. Okay, they're bringing like animals and dogs and bears and things of that nature to probably scare the children, to make the children are gonna get bitten or something like that. So in other words, they're doing things to scare the child, to put that child in a state of fear, because when they're in that state, that creates that fight or flight response, that gets the adrenaline pumping, and that creates the oxidation of the pineal gland. And these are the fluids that they want going through the blood, and these are the hormones that they want released into the bloodstream. Because when they take the blood out of the child, I don't drink this shit, but I guess it gives them a high or something like that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But this is what they doing. And this is what they was doing in the Old Testament for these Moloch rituals. That's why when you read about Jezebel in the Old Testament, when she had King Ahab, lost his mind, she had the people doing sacrifice, cannibalism, and there was a lot of organ transplants going on, and there was a lot of child sacrifice going on, and there was a lot of blood drinking going on. So this whole concept of, getting certain hormones released in children's blood and then extracting the blood and drinking it, this is something old that's been going on. So these people are still keeping up these demonic Canaanite practices to this day. You know what I'm saying? That's where that's the origin of them, the perverted, inverted, demonic Canaan. Remember how we talked about chemical Egypt? Well, you got the perverted Canaan. You got corrupted Canaan. You got contaminated Canaan. So now you got another. So first we had perverted Egypt. Now you got contaminated Canaan. And then contaminated Canaan, this is what was going on. Okay? So it said this is what they do. So they not only do they, perform this shit on the child, so this is what they do. So they put the children in these states of fear. They rape the children, they torture the children, put them in these states of fear, and then they drain the blood out of them. And then it says here that they keep the children captive as prisoners for a long-term traumatization treatment where they maintain the child alive, but they traumatize, torture, rape, and extract the blood of the child with blood transfusions multiple times until the child finally dies from the abuse or blood loss, or they decide to kill the child in one of their satanic sacrifices. So this is what they're doing. So the child either dies from blood loss, or the child dies from, the abuse, being beat up and stuff like that, or the child dies from being sacrificed in one of their rituals. So either way it go, the child dies. Once again, I hope you women still listening to this shit. So keep in mind now, when this blood is being extracted from these children are still alive during all this shit. Still alive. All right, let's see. Let's check this out. Adrenochrome. Let's see. They also run massive child trafficking rings all over the world, which buy and sell children. Adrenochrome more readily concentrates in a child's glands, since the glands do not grow much with age, and since children experience massively heightened fight or flight reactions and increased adrenaline surges as a result of trauma. According to the FBI, there are averaging 460,000 plus missing children in America every single year. However, the true number may be significantly higher, since it has recently been revealed that the FBI is nothing more than a corrupt front organization covering crimes for the Luciferian elites in America. All right, let's see. What is walnut sauce? This is very, very important, because they also have something out there, something called Pizzagate. Now, a lot of you people that support the demonic Democratic Party, a lot of you people that support Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, they have something called Pizzagate. Long story short, the Podesta brothers that got the Wienergate. In other words, there were a lot of people who got caught with some emails that was leaking information that connected people in the Democratic Party to certain satanic child sacrifice cults. Long story short. All right. And walnut sauce, pizza, hot dogs, these were some of the terms used in these emails as code words for children. And walnut sauce was one of the code words for Moorish children. Let me repeat that, because somebody think I'm bullshitting. The term walnut sauce was one of the code words for Moorish Judean children. I'm going to repeat that one more time before I read. The term walnut sauce was a code word in the email that was leaked out. This code word was a word for Moorish children, all right, or so-called black children that were being pedophiled, tortured in these Moloch rituals. The pineal gland is a little gland inside the human brain named pineal gland, also referred to as the third eye, and its appearance is very similar to a walnut or a pine cone. Listen up. The pineal gland is a little gland inside the human brain, also referred to as the third eye, and its appearance is very similar to a walnut or a pine cone. Walnut sauce sounds very innocent, but that is a code used by the Luciferian pedophile cannibals. It's their secret cannibalistic recipe that contain the ingredients of parts of the bodies of their victims after they have been tortured, traumatized, and sexually abused, and finally murdered. The children, they cut out parts of the child's brain containing the pineal gland, and they extract the dead child's blood. Then they blend the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the adrenalized blood into a mixture that they drink. The mixture is referred to as walnut sauce by the Luciferian pedophile cannibals. They believe that it will prevent them from aging, and they get high from adrenochrome. So a lot of you all are wondering, well, why are these people doing this? Why are they stealing the children? Why are they doing the Moloch rituals? Why are they drinking the blood? Why are they taking the pineals out? Why do they want the oxidation and the fluid or the substance that's secreted from the pineal gland when people are fearful? Why do they want the adrenalized blood? Why do they want this stuff? What are they doing with it? What is it benefiting them? Well, it says it right here. The Luciferian pedophile cannibals believe that it will prevent them from aging, and they get high from adrenochrome. That's what they want it for. Now, I'm going to sit here and let that marinate on your mind for a minute. I got me some French toast in there in the oven. I'm going to check this shit. Y'all give me a few seconds. Hold on. All right, I'm back. All right, we're gonna end it with this part right here. Excuse me. So remember, like I said at the beginning of this tape, see, it's not about what we believe. These people believe that by doing this stuff, they're contacting wicked and rebellious cherubim and seraphim, and they believe that this is how they're continuing to get, their wealth and all this other stuff. So whether it's real or not, whether it's working or not, it really doesn't matter. This is what they believe. So let's read. The Luciferian religion is based on paganism and similar to the Satanism, and it's extremely evil, dark, and deranged. The Luciferians believe that it is necessary to achieve the full power of magic within their satanic rituals. The expression walnut sauce originated from the exposed Luciferian pedophile John Podesta's election campaign executive for the Hillary Clinton campaign 2016, hacked and public posted emails exposed by WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. All right. So that term walnut sauce, this is where it was originally seen. And John Podesta is a Luciferian pedophile, along with Hillary Clinton. All right. And this was a hacked email and exposed by WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Okay. So as far as the article, that's what we're gonna end there. So to wrap this up, this is what we dealing with out here. This is how real this shit is out here. This is why they want the so-called black men and women destroyed and fighting each other. It's very, very, it's fucked up, man. Like, I was looking at somebody's tapes earlier on YouTube. It's a woman, and I was seeing, man, she was just posting some shit about, it was just more of that black propaganda, gender war shit, And I was just sitting there shaking my head because a lot of you niggas out there don't know the end game with this shit. It has nothing to do with, it really has nothing to do with, it has nothing to do with even keeping black men and women apart, because at the end of the day, they know that all black men and women gonna keep fucking each other and they're gonna keep having children. It's nothing they're gonna be able to do to stop that. It's just nothing they're gonna be able to do. So the only thing they need to really do is to just get a hold of the children. They know we're gonna keep creating them, but they really need to create distractions so they can get to these children. And it was just sad when I was looking at the video, and I'm gonna go ahead and say her name. It was that woman, Cynthia G. I don't know her, you know what I'm saying? But I was looking at a video and I'm like, damn, like she really going hard with this shit, man. And she don't even understand what the real end game is. Like, it's a lot of takes I could make, going at black women about certain shit and keeping that up. But see, all you do when you do that, you just reinforce that you're not paying attention to the children. And they can keep these Moloch molestation rituals going on. That's what it are. They're Moloch molestation rituals. So just keep in mind, that's what it is. But they gonna always have these niggas confused. They gonna always have a way to get you niggas fucked up, man. They really are. So at the end of the day, it's like this, man. For you brothers out there, if you got children already, I hope your children are under your watch. I hope your children living with you, or I hope, wherever your children live, you have a, say so in that household. And your presence is felt in that household, and you can easily get to that household, and people know you in that household. People know you showing up there. In other words, if you a brother and you got some children, you a real Amaru Conqueror. You better keep an eye on your children, bro. You better take that shit real serious. And for you guys that don't have children yet, which would include me, you just gotta already know what's going on out here, and know what you're getting yourself involved in. And know that, these kids, these Moorish kids, these Judean children, that are around you, just keep your eyes open, bro. Keep your eyes open, man, because at the end of the day, see, when your presence is felt, when motherfuckers see you walking through the communities, when they see you at the bus stops getting these kids, when they see you going with these children inside the gas station and stuff like that, And when they see that you're interacting with these children, and they see that you more in a protective type of, protective guardian type of role, then these wicked cherubim and seraphim, see, they're afraid of that. And all these pedophilia rings, these pedovores, these Moloch molesters out here, they'll run from you. So people don't understand, and I'm gonna end it with this. The real 5G war is this. You got two types of 5G out here. And I may make a tape on it, depending on how I feel. But you got the 5G out here, which is a more deadly, poisonous form of radiation. Long story short, that they want to use and they want to emit it through a lot of the technological devices that we have. And they're gonna come up with clever ways to do it. And they want this radiation to, long story short, destroy the human body from the inside out. Okay, make people sterile, melt the brain, a lot of shit you saw in the James Bond films. That's one form of the 5G radiation. Then you got another form of the 5G radiation, or really what I like to call the 9G, or the non-God radiation, the non-God frequency, the 9G. It's a form of spiritual melanated radiation that is emitted or given off from the black sun inside of real niggas or real niggas like me. So you know that feeling when you get around a real nigga and you can tell that, man, this man on some real shit. You get irritated, you get scared, and it make a person want to run away. It's because their insides are melting, and that's a form of radiation that they're getting. So what's happening is that it's a radiation war. First we was in a Cold War, then we went into a hot war, but now we in a radiation war. All right. So understand, man, we in some real ass times. It's not only the coronavirus spirit of Exodus out, but you got the Moloch shit going on too. Man. What we're gonna do is say it's on 5:57 minutes. So really we're gonna let it go into about an hour. So let's see if there's anything else I want to leave y'all with. Let's see. All right, let's read a little bit into this. Because remember, these Adrenochrome drinkers or these Moloch molesters, a lot of them are Freemasons, Boule, Eastern Stars, Jill and Jack, a lot of different groups, Skull and Bones. And you'll see them, a lot of them with the black eyes. Now, one of my previous thumbnails, you saw I used the thumbnail and showed a lot of these quote unquote elitist or wealthy people, and they had black eyes. All right. Now, the black eye goes back to the Osirian or the Heru mythos, when Heru had his eye snatched out by Set. And because of that, he had to wear the eye patch. This is why you see the pirates wear the eye patch. So the eye patch, or the, eye being snatched out, that goes back to the Heru mythos. So that's really what they're getting at, all right? So it says here, although not officially an organization at all, the Black Eye Club refers to a growing number of politicians, celebrities, business elites, and heads of state who have suddenly and mysteriously wound up with black eyes. Although a few of them have sustained injuries to their right eye, the majority occur on the left eye. Among those who have succumbed to this affliction are George Bush, Kanye West, and the Pope. So that's another thing. So you have the Luciferian eye ritual as well. So these people have different rituals, different activities, different beliefs that they're, engaging in, and, and that they're upholding. And, it's some real shit. You know what I'm saying? It sounds crazy, but it's some real shit, man. And it gets much deeper. It gets much worse. I just wanted to introduce this shit to you all and give you an understanding of what's going on. Man, and just let you know how prepared you got to be. But y'all check out the book of Jeremiah. We may go deeper into that. But y'all shout me out in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Predator Psychology of the Amaru Conqueror 3. So you got the spiritual warriors versus the pedovores. Moloch molesters versus Moorish magi's. You know what I'm saying? That's really what we dealing with in this shit. So, it's your boy Blackbeard. Y'all stay tuned. I'm out.